Hello my friends, it's Thierry and today we are going to speak about mail server. For the people who do not know me, I have a YouTube channel where I speak about different topics between electronics, RC cars, but also software industry because I am software senior engineer and I have developed the website myspector.com. So for the people who do not know myspector.com, it is a website to automate workflow, to collect data, extract data, check and notify. For example, you can configure it to go and fetch a web API to obtain a price, make an extraction of this price with the JSON extractor, for example, and check if you have a given value and then notify. For example, here I have a list of different Troxes. Troxes is entity to make the full pipeline. And here I have a price here which is configured and is triggering an alert, triggering a notify. If there is a workflow here and you see the execution report says that the collection has been successful, extraction has been success, extracted data, and then checked outcome is true. So this means what? This means my target has reached a given state and I want to have a notification. And MySpector is providing different kind of notification modules. And one of the first modules that is available currently on myspector.com is the mail. And let's look now at the mail. So you see I have received an email. Good, MySpector sends that the target has reached. My problem, and we are going to see today about this subject, the current issue is that the myspector.com is using a web service which is called SendGrid.net, which I have not correctly configured. And we are going to work together on the domain name configuration, not to configure correctly the SendGrid.net. This is not the issue. Me, what I want is obtain my own domain. So we are not using anymore SendGrid.net, but we are going to have our own mail server with the DNS mail.myspector.com and see how to interact, how to do it, what should be done on the target server, on the Windows server, target server, how to configure which server to install as a software, and in the network side, how to deal with this. And I will work with a Word document here where I have already taken some notes, but here for you to understand what is the big goal of this presentation is to be able to send a mail to tbr@myspector.com. So from my Gmail here, I want to be able to create a new message and send to tbr@myspector.com. Let's test and let's put the time. Here, send an email and the goal is to obtain this email. I have just sent this email. Google will try to send it a number of times, then I should obtain later on a failure. At the end of the video, I will have the opportunity to make this work. Also, what I want is to be able to receive as a customer an email from notify@myspector.com. So this means what? This means that here, when I look at the details, this has been from, in fact, my email and via SendGrid.net, and this will be changed. This will be notify@myspector.com without any warning. You see here, there is a warning saying that I am a spam. And there is specific configuration to do on the network side, on the DNS system to make this work. So we are going to do together to make this work. This is very interesting and very complex subject because when you are dealing with mail, in fact, the big issue is that there is a lot of spammers which act in the mail industry by sending a lot of mail. So the mail protocol has been a lot been secured since some years to avoid abuses. So it is not as easy as creating an IP address only with a website. There is different things. And in fact, for you to sum it up, in fact, when you go to a given website. Here there is the HTTPS here. You see the protocol, and I have another video explaining how to configure HTTPS on a web server. The basic idea is that with this HTTPS there is a given certificate, and this certificate authentifies you as a web server. The big idea with the mail server, which with all the configuration that we are going to do, is to mimic the kind of HTTPS, but in the mail protocol. So now let's work together to see and understand how the thing should be organized. So we will work mainly with what is called DNS records, and for people who do not know, the basic thing is to have a record. If you have already a web server, you already have a record. The a record is what makes the link between the domain name and the IP. For example, when you go to a website, this is the a record that you are using, and I am going to use the command nslookup to do most of the checking. So if I put nslookup myspector.com, then it says that the first part here is only about the DNS server that I am using, but what is interesting is the answer. myspector.com is resolved to this address 185.208.125.142. This is a record. And if I go, so I am managing my DNS entries with Google Domains. And you see that in Google Domains, I have a hostname myspector.com with a type A. There is in the DNS world different kind of information. This type A means that this is the resolution for the name that you are trying to find for the web server. The issue is if I want to send an email, I should try to obtain a given server. So I could remain with myspector.com, but normally it is good practice to have a given domain name for the mail server. So I will prefix it with mail.myspector.com, and you see the issue is that for the moment I have no mail.myspector.com because I cannot find my mail.myspector.com. Non-existent domain. So what we are going to do is create a DNS entry for this mail, and there is a specific type for the mail server which is type MX for mail exchange. So the MX record I should create an MX record. Create an MX record that specifies the mail exchanger of your domain. This points to the host name that will handle incoming mail for your domain. For example, the host myspector.com, which is a class type A, should point to mail.myspector.com. I go here with my DNS entry, myspector.com. I manage the custom records, and I'm going here to click create a new record. Mail, which you see below, is being suffixed by myspector.com, and in fact, when you do not enter anything, it is implicitly the domain name that you are managing. The type will be, on here you see that there is a list of different DNS entries. What is interesting is for me, for the mail, is the MX. And I give to him the same IP address because I decide to host my mail server on the same machine. This is not a good practice because if your web server is down, or if you change, or if you are behind a load balancer, maybe you do not want your mail server to be on the same machine. But me, as I have a little website with small number of customers, I take the risk. I decide that I will handle this on the same machine. So I save it. In fact, no, yes, this is not the IP address. This is here is telling the other server, okay, on here for the data, this is not the IP address. This is the address of the mail server, mail.myspector.com. Okay, so finally, I will remove here the data. I say the hostname myspector.com as an MX entry which points to mail.myspector.com. And if you have different mail servers, you could add another entry here. I will not do it. I save it. And in fact, you see it says there is an invalid format. I should put a number for the priority, then the name. So you put here, let's say 1. Save. Okay. And now you see that my hostname myspector.com has an MX entry mail.myspector.com. So I am going now to manage again and add the entry mail.myspector.com, type A to obtain the IP address, and here I put the same IP address. And now you see, and I type only the mail because it will be suffixed by the domain name. And now you see that I have a host name myspector.com with the type A with the IP address to go on the web server. Then for the same domain name, I have a MX entry which says for the priority 1, I should deliver the email to this mail.myspector.com server. Then the mail.myspector.com server has an entry of DNS type A, which gives again this IP. And now let's check again the mail.myspector.com. And you see that I have an answer with the new address that I have just registered. You see that it is very fast. And by the way, I am using the clock. Here you will see the time progression for this experiment. Now things could be a little too easy. If it was sufficient, I will make the reverse entry, because in fact for security, when you are sending outbound emails, there is automated checks by different mail servers to avoid all these fake servers and all this spam or all this pirate word, so that there is a checking that you own correctly this name on the DNS entries. And in fact, the other mail server for security will try to make what is called a reverse DNS. And for this, they will need a PTR entry or pointer entry to check that you obtain still this domain name. So they will do what? They take this IP and they make a RDNS. So here, if I give the IP to NSLOOKUP, it will make a reverse DNS operation. And let's look at what he is replying. He is replying that for my IP, this is the DNS server that he is using, and he is resolving this name here for the IP that I have supplied. So I am not correctly currently marked as the owner of this IP in the reverse side. And to do this, in fact, you see, I have a host where I have my server, and this PTR entry must be configured at the host level. I cannot, because you see here that there is an extension contaboserver.net. I will they are already doing some work, so I should not try to override. So to do this, you must connect to your VPS provider interface. And here I am connected to my Contabo VPS provider interface. And at the bottom here, you see that there is reverse DNS management. And here in this reverse DNS management, I see that the IP address that I am currently have is configured to give this name here, 83058. So I'm going to update it by clicking on the edit button here. And here I put the name that I want, mail.myspector.com. Okay, I have done it for the IP version 4 and also for the IP version 6, even if I'm not sure this is mandatory for the IP version 6, but at least the IP version 4 now, if it is reverse DNS, should answer mail.myspector.com. So let's make the request again. You see that it is not yet taken in consideration because you must have to wait a little. So we will see a little later when this will be updated, because in fact there is a time propagation of the DNS. Okay, you see now it is 1 p.m. So I have waited some time. The last request to an NS lookup with the IP address has given this Contabo server. But now I have just done it, and with the same IP address, now I have the mail.myspector.com. Let's make a refresh to be sure, and you see still mail@myspector.com. By the way, NSLookup can handle the type of the DNS record. So here I specify the type mail exchange to know which is the mail server. I request for the domain myspector.com, and here you see that the answer is myspector.com MX preference for the priority one. The mail exchanger is mail.myspector.com. And one more time to continue the loop, I make NS lookup one more time with the mail.myspector.com, and now I have the IP address. So from the domain myspector.com, I want the mail entry with the type MX. I obtain mail.myspector.com. Then by creating a DNS request to obtain this IP address, I obtain the IP which corresponds to the same IP of the machine containing the web server. Now it is good. We have designed the first entries in the DNS system to be sure that the mail.myspector.com can be found on the internet, to know on which machine the server should connect to. And now that we have created the first DNS entries with the mail server, it is possible technically to send an email from your company by different servers. So there is a mechanism to declare the sending servers. In an email there is inbound email, while the email comes to your company, and there is outbound email when your company is sending emails. When the emails are sent, technically it is possible to have delegated machine with different IPs to delegate the work to send an email. For this purpose, there is an additional mechanism in the DNS entries to flag and to enumerate which IP on which machine is allowed to send an email, as a security practice to avoid that other machines send an email in your behalf. This is called SPF, for Sender Policy Framework. And in fact, this is a DNS entry which will enumerate which of the server is allowed, and this is a DNS entry with a TXT type. It is a line with a specific syntax that we are going to see together, and it is mandatory. So the TXT record starts with V is equal to SPF1 identifier, which indicates the SPF version. This is only the first for the moment. Then there is what is called a SPF mechanism. It says between IP4, IP6, or you can also put MX to say that what is following will be allowed for the mail exchange server, but you can also include a remote domain name, so you can delegate the work to a remote mail server, like for example SendGrid. And here, if I put include, this will include the SPF record to another domain in the authorization. And all keyword defines everything which is not listed above. Then after this identifier, so I want to declare my mail server as allowed to send outbound email, so I will use MX. Then there is a SPF qualifiers which will tell what to do. the plus, but the plus is facultative for the mail, but for the all, everything other, I can put the minus. So fail the SPF check, the sending server is not authorized. So we can do, if we want to prevent any other email server to not be allowed to send a mail for myspector.com, we are going to add all, then a minus. And here are some SPF examples where we can in fact combine different entries. So here is the line that is interesting. So you see, for we can view together SPF version is equal to SPF1. Then I indicate the IP4 because the IP4 is one of the SPF mechanism. IP4. Then this is the IP with the mask, and then minus all. And then I want to reject all the other. Here an example, if I want to allow example.com domain to send email for my behalf, I will put this line on reject all. And here this is what is interests me in yellow. V is equal to SPF1 space MX to say I allows my mail server to send emails and I will reject all the other. So I'm going to take this piece of code to put in my DNS TXT. So here I am going to manage my records and I create a new record which is a type TXT. The text is this one, and I do not indicate any host name so that it is myspector.com. I save this. Okay, so now I have a new entry for myspector.com as a TXT type, which is the version for the SPF, and I can check with NSLOOKUP to target this type. If I put type TXT, then I obtain directly what I have entered. So here, an email which is forwarding between the mail are changing by different email server, receive an email, he will check my spector.com DNS entry with the TXT, we look for this specific keyword, and then he says here that my mail server, mail.myspector.com, is allowed to send email. So if one mail server receives an email from my mail, myspector.com, he will say, okay, you are allowed. But if you take your own machine, connect to the SMTP server, send an email on my behalf, the machine will see that you have a different IP than the mail server and will flag you as not allowed. So currently we have created the setup to announce where the mail server of MySpector is hosted and also which machine is allowed to send email. We can try to make a test to send an email to the mail server. The thing is that for the moment, there is no server open. There is no active component on the target machine. And the mail server should run on the port, the standard port 25, TCP port 25. It is a little complicated on not standard to choose another port, so I remain on the port TCP 25. And to do this, to have a server which will accept requests from other mail server, we have to install a mail server on the target machine, which is on Windows Server for my case. There is an embedded email server on Windows, but from the small thing that I have read, it is not totally reliable. And there is a mail server which is open source, which is called Ash Mail Server, that I am going to download and to install. Ash Mail Server is free and open source email server for Microsoft Windows. It's used by internet service providers, companies and governments. It supports the common email protocols, IMAP, SMTP, POP3, and can easily be integrated within existing web email solutions. So let's go to the download and take the last version of the Ashmail. No active development, Ashmail HMail server is no longer being actively developed. Okay, but I will take it. And I am now connected to my remote virtual machine, myspector.com, where the web server is currently running. You see that I have my website, myspector.com on IIS. And I have here the mail server installation file. Next. I accept the agreement. Next. Next. Full installation. Next. Use a built-in database engine, Microsoft SQL Compact, or use an external database engine. I will use external database engine. Next. Setup will create the program shortcut. Next. The installation program will now create a mail server user with administration rights. Please enter a password below. You will need this password to be able to manage your HMail server installation. Next. Oh, it is using the Microsoft.NET Framework version 2, which is very, very old. So I need to install the framework version 2. Okay, cancel, it has some problem. So the installation of the framework.NET is finished. So I have just rebooted the machine. Let's start again the installation of the HMail server. Next, I accept the agreement. Next, HMail server. Next, full installation. I will make custom installation. The server on the administrative tools. Next. Use built-in, no, use external database engine MySQL because I have MySQL installed on my machine already. Continue, next. Confirm password, next. Installation. Okay, now it is working. He has understood that the framework version 2 is installed on the machine. Do not ask me to install it, so there is no more problem of installation. It's important, you see, you have sometimes you have big problem like this, little dependency problem of dependencies. It's important always to find a solution, and this is part of software developer work also. HMail database setup. So now there is a database setup. Create a new HMail server database. Select a new HMail server default database. Create a new. Select this option if you do not already have a HMail server database and you want to create one now. HMail server requires one database to run. Yes, so I'm going to create a new database on my existing MySQL server. I have a MySQL server which is installed. Next. The HMail service is dependent on a database service running on this computer. It's recommended that you choose the database service below. So the service is MySQL service. Next. The wizard has enough information to finish the operation. Click next. Starting tasks. The HMail server needs the file to be able to connect to MySQL. MySQL needs to be manually copied to the mail server bin. File is not included in the HMail server installation. Pass. libmysql32dll is required. You see, it's a little complex to make this setup. Go to Program Files, MySQL, MySQL Server 8, the libmysql DLL, libmysql DLL, let's take this DLL, I copy it there. libmysql DLL is copied. Let's click next. On the MySQL client, libmysql could not be loaded. Nice. And you see in this forum, I have found a post with libmysql. This is a forum linked to the HMail server website. So let's take this one, come back to the remote machine, remove the libmysql DLL, which I think is 64-bit. Let's look at the size, 6 meg. And I pass the other one. Five meg is a little slow. Click next. Okay, it's working. he's creating now the database. So you see that clearly the process to make the mail server is quite complex, quite technical, and we are not finished now. The wizard has completed. Press close to end. Okay, close. So yes, what I mean is quite technical. There is all this part with the DNS configuration, the networking, and also with the software installation, software configuration. I have here my MySQL server. Let's refresh the databases. Okay, the Hashmail database has been created. Let's expand it. Look at the tables. Okay, so the mail server is installed. He has access to the database. Okay, and now I have the pop-up Hashmail server administrator, and I can manage my email. In the same time, I can look at this TCP view. Look if there is a TCP port open, local port, SMTP. You see, there is now a TCP port, SMTP, by the process Hashmail server. So it has already created the TCP port. Add domain. So welcome, add domain. So I am dealing with the domain myspector.com. Names. What is this name? Signature. For the moment, there is no signature. I want to receive emails. We are going to see all this stuff after. Catch all address. General names. Save. Names. Okay, now I can add a name. And I think, what is this mail name? I don't know. Accounts. Okay, I can create an account. And you remember at the beginning, my goal was to be able to do these two things. I want to be able to send an email from my Gmail account to this TBR at myspector.com. TBR stands for my name, Thierry Bremard. And I want to receive an email from notify at myspector.com. So I need to create two accounts. One called TBR. So I go to account, add, address TBR, password, auto reply, no, forwarding, no. So you see here you can deal everything with the account configuration. Save. Okay. And I am going to create an additional account which is notify, and save. Okay, now my server is aware of two accounts, but I can, if I want, I am totally unlimited. Here I do not need to pay anything. This is only configuration, software configuration. I have all the mail that I want on the domain myspector.com. And here there are some settings with the protocols. If you change the setting below, you must restart the server before SMTP, POP, IMAP. But with this interface, I can only create an account, but I cannot view my emails. To view my emails, I need an email client. For simplicity, I will install a desktop mail client, Thunderbird. And in fact, the mail client can remain on my machine if I want to, from a remote place, to look at the content of my email. So let's run this email client. Next. Okay, set up your existing email. So Thierry email address, this will be my TBR at myspector.com. Here, continue. Looking up configurations. And you see he has problem to connect. In fact, what I have not done is opening the firewall, the TCP port 25. If I use my telnet mail.myspector.com port 25, I should not be able to connect because my TCP port is not yet opened by the firewall. So you see, this is one little trick. If you want to test TCP connection, just use a telnet, and if it is not in your machine, not available, it is a Windows feature that you should enable. I open it as an admin, open the inbound rules, and I'm going to create a new rule by supplying TCP port. These are TCP port specific local ports. Let's put only the 25 for the moment. I allow the connection every time, and the name is mail server. Finish. So now you see that there is a new line with a local port 25, which correspond to this mail server TCP SMTP. And I can uncheck the resolve address here to see the value here, 25. Let's come back to my machine. Telnet again on the port 25. And now I am connected to the remote port 25. You see the welcome message 220 MySpector ESMTP. Connection lost. Now I can come back to my Thunderbird. TBR, password is safe, Thunderbird failed. Okay, incoming server, emap, myspector.com, it is not yet open. Outgoing server, host name, this will be mail. Ah yes, I need the incoming server, I need the emap or pop3. So in fact, here you see, yes, if I want to check my emails, I need to connect to the POP3 server. The POP3 server is on the TCP port 1110. So I come back to my rule port and I add the 1110. Apply 1110. Okay, POP3. I come back here and POP3 myspector.com. The myspector.com works. Hostname mail myspector.com. Port 25. Retest. Okay, now it looks to be good. Done. Warning, incoming setting. myspector.com does not use encryption. Insecure mail server do not use encrypted connections to protect your password and private information by connecting to this server. You could expose your password and private information. Outgoing information, mail myspector does not use encryption. So this is, we will look later if this can be configured to use encryption, but yes. Okay, inbox. Okay, and for the moment I have 0 message because I have not sent any message after that I have done the setup. So let's make a new test now. Test. Send. Okay, you see I have received now a message test at 2:47. I am now going to send a new message again at TBR. Let's put the time for 12:48. Sent. I come back to my Thunderbird. Okay, you see I have received now an email just sent 12:48:38. You see it's about 2 minutes to come, but now I have my system that I have established a system where my domain myspector.com is known and I can send an email via my Gmail and everyone now can send me any email with my own domain on any account that I want. This is quite a great advance, but we have done only the half because in fact in the mail there is inbound email and there is outbound email. And most of the security things, there is a lot of more configuration to do to make outbound email because there is specific security configurations to avoid spamming. But at least now I managed to be able to make inbound email in the server point of view. I mean, With my Gmail, I send an email. From the MySpector point of view, this is an inbound email, which do not need any specific configuration in terms of security except the encryption. And as a customer, I have an account, I am connected to the POP server, which Hmail server is managing the POP protocol, and this is an email that I have received. The next step is to be able to, as a user, send an email to my mail server. The mail server will broadcast it to the mail world, and we will need to make more configuration in the DNS side to ensure that we are legit. But at least there is a good advance now which has been done. And also, one reason why you should own your email server, and the reason why I do it, is to save money, because in fact there is service provided by Google to handle your own email, but you must pay. And you pay, this is quite amazing, the price, it is $6 per user per month. So if on MySpector I want to create 2 accounts, I will need to pay 2 times $6 per month, so $12 per month. So you imagine for 1 year, it's more than $100. And in fact, what is very interesting, you see, is that I have left some time. It is now 6 p.m. and I have received 2 new emails, and you see with the timestamp that these emails have been sent this morning. You will remember when I have started the video and I have shown you that I wanted to send emails. They arrived after 2 p.m. but they are timestamped before, because in fact the Google Mail service made some retry to try to find the destination. And you see, I have timestamped one email with the time. It was created at 11 a.m. and this shows you that even after that I have created the mail, after that I have sent the mail, I have created the mail server, I have managed to receive the emails. They were not lost because Google is the mail protocol, the mail service, the different mail server can make some retry before telling you that the recipient is not available. Normally, in a normal time, after 1 day or maybe 2 days, Google would have sent me another email by telling me that the recipient was not available. There are steps to do now to be trusted as a correct mail sender, but we can try to send an email to my Gmail and see now by using my mail server how the component is behaving, because the demonstration I have shown you before was with SendGrid. Now I have my own email, so let's try this. So to my Gmail account, and I can try to add a screenshot also. And let's send this email to my Gmail account to see how this will behave. And you see, I have received ASAP the email, and you see also that there is no warning at all. So in fact, if I would like, I could stop here. I will continue with some different things, but you see that my issue with the initial mail that I have received with this spam here is not anymore there. Maybe because I have correctly set up the PTR, and at least I'm very happy now. I don't know what you think, but I have an email with this setup which is sufficient. And one more time, you can see that this is my currently DNS setup. So I have a type A for myspector.com, a MX type for myspector.com, which indicates that my email exchange is mail.myspector.com. Then I have here this entry SPF to say there is the machine who sends the email should be allowed to send an email, and then one more entry of type A to indicate the IP address of mail.myspector.com. This is sufficient, and at least now Google is allowing me to send email without any issue, without any warning. It is ciphered because in fact I think it's the Google side which says this, but you see from tbr@myspector.com, Thierry Bremard, everything is very nice. By the way, you have now my address, so you can send me some different emails. And before continuing on looking at what is called DKIM for the mail server, let's make a little pause. I will present myself. I am Thierry Bremard, Senior Software Engineer, working mainly in C#. I have experience in different environments. You can contact me on LinkedIn, and I have worked since the beginning in different environments. I started in the CNATE as a C++ developer, then in a startup where I developed from Win32 API. Then I joined the call center integration company where I have started to work in a C# as a C# developer in 2011. Then I was in a consulting firm where I made different missions in the consulting industry, in the financial industry. Always as a software developer, working mainly with the C# framework. And since 2020, I worked as a technical tester in the technical test team of the GfK company in Germany. And in my LinkedIn profile, you can review different documents. Also, there is a VIP badge with Stack Overflow ranking, my CV here. There is a Scrum Alliance certification and also different things relating to financial industry. And most importantly, in addition of working at GfK and having myspector.com website, I also try to maintain my YouTube channel where I speak about different topics. There is at the bottom of the main page the different playlists where you see Pimp My Kitchen, where I make the renovation of my kitchen, my amazing reviews, some videos about electronics, and also some videos about software like this one. So don't hesitate to check out this amazing YouTube channel, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. So even if we have seen that with the Google Gmail I have no warning anymore, I will do one more step, which is called the DKIM configuration, which implies from what I have understood authentication based on a private and public key. So what is remaining is creating a DKIM record, and there is also what exists a DMARC. I will do the DKIM record minimum. I think this is not too much complicated. So we should generate a DKIM key. This is a key pair, and publish a DKIM record as a DNS TXT record. So a little like the SPF just above, I will add a TXT record. This validates the authenticity of your outgoing emails. For example, selector default domain key txt record DKIM1 key is equal to RSI p is equal to public key. So it means what? I will use OpenSSL generate a public and private key by putting a DNS record with my public key. I will guarantee the authenticity of my message, of outgoing message, because they will be encrypted with my private key. And we will go to the mail server, and there is an entry in the mail server to put the public and private key. And by the way, if you are wondering what is the document that I am currently reading, this was before the presentation. I have already prepared with the help of ChatGPT. So most of this text has been generated by ChatGPT, and I have made all the compilation together and presented to you live. So the DKIM, to generate a DKIM domain key identifier mail signature for your domain, you will typically follow these steps. Generate a private public key pair. You can use a tool like OpenSSL or specialized DKIM key generation tool. I have OpenSSL, and I have other video in my channel showing an OpenSSL. If you don't have and don't know on Windows how to get OpenSSL, there is a shortcut in Git directory you can look in the Git installation file. There should be OpenSSL exe. For OpenSSL, you can use the following command to generate a private key. So let's try to generate this algorithm private key kgen 2048 and pass inside the command line. Okay, the OpenSSL looks to have created something. Let's come here. I have a file which is called private.key. Good. This command will generate a 2048 RSA private key and save it in the private key file. Yes. Extract the public key. Use the following command to extract the public key from the private key. So I'm going to also copy this in my command prompt. I have now a public.key file. This command will extract the public key and save it in the public key file. Publish the public key as a DNS-TXT record. Create a DNS-TXT record for your domain, typically named default point underscore domain key. The value of the TXT record should be the public key preceded by a DKIM policy and a selector. Here's an example of the record value. Okay, so this is the prefix here, and I should put after the public key, which is there. So the configuration to be done for the DKIM is create a DNS entry with this name, where the default, from what I have understood, is an arbitrary value that should be matched in the mail server. The mail server configuration with the DKIM, we will provide this default value. The point underscore domain key is a standard one to target the DKIM protocol. And then we should put this value as a TXT data. And then here there is a public key just after on the right. So let's create this DNS entry. I copy the name, manage custom records. I am going to create a new record. I put my name, default underscore domain key, which will be automatically suffixed by the domain name. Here you see below myspector.com. The type is also TXT. And then the value that I copy in a single line, I passed it there. I save it, and you see that I have now a new entry, domain key myspector.com, and you can see here some double quotes which has been introduced. I don't know why. What is interesting is, in fact, with this thing, the fact that you have a personal value is that you cannot make a NS lookup with this, because you must know it. So let's put this value here. And I obtain the result. But you see, for the prompt of NS lookup, I must provide this value here, which might not be the default one. I don't know, maybe I have made a mistake, but let's try to... Okay, maybe the way it is stored in the DNS server, I don't know, but I have checked, and normally the value is correct. So I am going now to take the private key file, go inside the server, and configure it. So I copy the private key file in the target server, and on the domain myspector.com, there is here different panels like the names, the signature, some limits, but also the DKIM signing. So let's put enabled private key file. I'm going to fetch the key file that I have just put in my machine. Open the selector. So you see here, this is what I have told you. The selector is matching what is inside the DNS entry, which is in fact default. But I could have changed it. Hey, this is a arbitrary value. Header method, relax, body method, relax, signing algorithm, SHA-256. Let's put this value and save. So now normally all my emails which are outgoing will be signed with the DKIM private key, and because they are encrypted and signed with a private key, any outgoing email by knowing the public key will be able to authentify me and to be sure that the email is coming from my server. So let's make a new test by sending a new email to my Gmail, DKIM enabled, with a screenshot of the time. And you see that I have also received my email. There is nothing special added. I don't know if the DKIM is really correctly configured, because in fact I do not have any error anymore. At least we have a very nice view of the different system. You have seen the minimum configuration which we have done. Let's make a last recap to be sure that we have correctly understood the different steps. There is on the internet different in the DNS configuration different entries. The myspector.com is for the web. This is a type A. We have seen that in fact in the DNS world there is different type of DNS entry. There is the MX and there is the TXT on the A. So the MX stands for the mail. So by using the MX entry, I indicate which mail server is used. So any remote mail server, like when I use my Gmail, the Gmail is able to spot that myspector.com should have a email server in mail.myspector.com, and it has the IP address by using this entry here. Then, to be sure, when I send an email from my website, and to be sure that myspector.com is allowed to send it, there is this SPF entry here which says that the email machine is allowed to send an email and not any other machine. So you can at home try to send an email from my website with the myspector.com domain, and normally you should have an issue, you should have a warning sign. And this in fact is sufficient to have a clear email. We have seen together the demonstration that there was not any more warning on the Google website anymore, and to configure to be a little more solid, but I cannot guarantee this is the exact correct setup. There is this default domain key myspector.com, which is in fact complying with the DKIM standard, where in fact I publish in the public world a public key, and every email that is exiting of my server are signed with the private key which is stored on the target machine of the server of the email. Now, very last thing, the first thing that I have shown you was by sending an email with the myspector.com. So the very last thing is to implement the send with C# code, and we will see how this is done with some C# code. And before we get inside the C# code to send an email, let's make a little more configuration on the mail server. I will try to set it to use an encrypted channel, which is called for the network email protocol start TLS. To do this, I will first try to set my client to force it to use start TLS. So I go in the properties of my client, you see outgoing server SMTP, so this is for the client point of view. Outgoing, so this will be for the server side in going. So outgoing SMTP, I edit. Then here you see that the connectivity security is set currently to none. There is this possibility to use start TLS. So let's try to use it. Authentication method, normal password. Let's put encrypted password. Okay. So you see that connectivity security is start TLS. New message to me. At this time, send. Okay. Sending of the message failed. An error occurred while sending the email, unable to establish a secure link with outgoing server. Mail.myspector using start TLS since it doesn't advertise that feature. Switch off start TLS for that server or contact the service provider. Good. So we are the service provider. So now that we have a failure, we can characterize that start TLS is not yet used. I can try to configure it on the server side. The global idea is I want, like in TDD for the development where when we are covered, when tests are passing or failing, here I know that there is a failure. I will go now in the server side, try to make the configuration and make it work. So I am connected to my server with the Hmail administrator. In the settings panel, I have here the advanced node with SSL certificate, which is totally empty for the moment. Remember, I am already running my IIS instance with the HTTPS with Let's Encrypt on using the certbot tool. I have made another video, so you can look in the history in the software playlist how to install the HTTPS with Let's Encrypt, but I have a certificate, valid certificate, and it is located in this directory certbot-live-myspector.com. So let's go and edit the SSL certificate and try to use the, by clicking add, and try to use the name, the same file that are generated by Let's Encrypt for the HTTP web server. So let's write for the name of the HTTP certificate certbot-myspector. Then the certificate file is live-myspector dcert.pem, open. And here for the private key.pem, open. And you see it is resolving the symbolic link, but maybe it's just for the display, it is just displayed. Maybe it's correctly using the symbolic link, because in fact these files are symbolic link which redirect to the archive folder. So I'm saving it. And now I will now that the SSL certificate is installed. So in the settings, then advanced, here you see that there is this SSL certificate that we have already added. Then we come back to the TCP IP port at the bottom here, where there is different line with different protocol matching the TCP port. So here I am seeing that I want to enable the SMTP protocol for this address on the TCP port 25. And here there is the settings to set the security for the connection. And here there is start TLS. I will use start TLS optional. Then here there is the SSL certificate, and there is the entry that I have already configured, certbot-myspector, and I can save it. Hmail needs to be restarted for the change to take effect. Do you want to restart? Yes. The Hmail server has been restarted. Good. And now what is interesting, we can test also in the utilities what is called diagnostic. So select the domain you want to test, myspector.com. Outbound port test hostname. This will be mail.myspector.com. Let's start it. And you see there is a lot of greens. There is a red here. Error backup directory has not been specified. Okay, there is no backup directory, but everything looks to be good. I am not sure that it is testing the encryption, but now let's come back to the Thunderbird. On one little subtlety here, I am using one client on my machine, and the server is on another machine available in the internet. So let's try now to send the email. You're about to override how Thunderbird identified this site. Legitimate bank stores and other public sites will not ask to do this. Location, mail myspector 25. This site attempts to identify sites with invalid information. View. In fact, yes, maybe this is because you see the problem is maybe that the certificate for the web is not valid for the mail. Location mail myspector.com. Ah, maybe. Okay. I think this is because of the prefix. Because when you have a certificate, you have a full domain name. And in fact, because I am using a prefix, maybe the certificate is not correct. Because you see here certificate common name myspector.com. DNS name myspector.com. It should be mail.myspector.com. So I will see later on. I will not do this inside the video, but the issue might be this. I will confirm the security exception because I know what I'm doing. Sending of the message fail, unable to communicate securely with peer. Requested domain name does not match the server certificate. Yes, the configuration related to the mail.myspector.com must be corrected. Okay. So at least I have tried and I know what is the issue. It's I will need to try to sort it out the way the certificate is generated. But you might have a problem with the certificate due to the prefix mail, which is not in fact inside the host name, because the host name is the full thing, mail.myspector.com. And here I have configured this certificate only to have myspector.com in the name. So let's roll back this. I will come back to my settings and say that my SMTP will be without any encryption, because I know I am not a bank, so I can afford it. So I am in the code here of myspector.com and I have a list of different automated tests. And for the moment, I have one automated test which sends an email. Message to send is this mail on notifier. So I'm going to run this test, look how it behaves, and it is still using the old way that MySpector is using to send some emails. It is using the SendGrid service, and we are going to update this configuration. You see the test is green, it has been passed, and I have just received an email here, MySpector notification, and you see that I still have this big warning that the mail is not secured because I have not yet updated the source code which sends the email. It is still sending the email via SendGrid. So let's do this. Now my client should not connect anymore to SMTP SendGrid.net server, but to mail.myspector.com. The target TCP port is not 587, but the port SMTP 25. And here, and you understand why I wanted to try to sort TLS, but I will not use start TLS because in fact there is a problem with the certificate. We have just seen it, and I will set it to none. And then there is the username on the mail credentials with my password, and then done. So I'm going to update this and run the test one more time. So I have an error. Message send mails. This is a test on mail. Mailkit security authentication exception 533 authentication failed. Restarting authentication process. Mailkit security authentication failed. So here you see that I have an issue with my authentication. Yes. So the email has been correctly sent with the C# code by using the Mailkit NuGet package, and I have not received any mail because in fact the mailbox address that I am using is maybe not good. I will use here the same address from tbr@myspector.com. Let's run the test again. Passed. Okay, I have received now the notification, and you see that I have not any more issues. Previously, it was classified as spam, And now it is without any issue. This is correctly displayed. And before I leave you, let's review shortly the C# code to send an email. There is a documentation on MSDN which describes the SMTP client class. However, in the end of this page, there is a note which explains you that you should use a specific NuGet package which is called MailKit here. Important, we don't recommend that you use SMTP client class for new development because SMTP client doesn't support many modern protocols. Use MailKit or other libraries instead. And this is what I am doing in MySpector. If you go to the NuGet package manager, the solution has installed the MailKit NuGet package here that I am using this way. It is quite straightforward. So you see here I have a mail notifier class because in MySpector there is different notifier. And the mail argument is giving different parameters, the destination email, the subject, and the text message that I am using like this. Then I send this to a method that I have created with the mail arg, on which I create a MIME message object. On the from field, I am hiding the mail from name. This is the name displayed. In this instance, I am going to use MySpector display name because it is a good convention to use only the domain name without the extension, without the .com. So MySpector for this instance. Then the mailbox address is the username of MySpector that I have created. And I have told you at the beginning that one of the goals was to send one email from the notify@myspector.com. This is here username notify@myspector.com. Then the destination email is at the end of the user, the destination email, and then I send the mail this way, the SMTP client. I connect to my own server email. So this is the new with the default TCP port without any secure ET, because I have seen that I have a little issue with the certificate that I will correct later on. Then I authenticate with my mail username and my password, display and send the message. Let's put this in production and let's see if I have a notification triggered by notify@myspector.com. And to put in production, because I have a small project and I do not have any CI/CD pipeline, I have created my own publish batch file here that I can run and will do all the work, making the build or also running the automated test before creating the archive on the zip file to push in production. So if there is a fail, I will not be able to publish in production. The tests are quite fast and 142 passed. And then I am going to make the release job, publish, and the archive should pop up very soon. The archive is created in the publish folder. I can take these two zip files and then push them manually on the remote folder, on the remote server. I have published MySpector, the new version on the server, release it, restarted the service. Now let's make a test by triggering the trox, which will trigger an email VD RedNAS 2 TB. This is going to fetch in real time the price of a hard drive on the Western Digital website, extracting the data $155, which should trigger an email to tell me that this is the price I want. Let's look at the email, and yes, I have received an email which is tagged from MySpector. So great, I have managed to obtain the email from notify@myspector.com. And if you wonder, if you want to use MySpector to automate email sending, and you are wondering when on how the configuration is done before you leave, let me just show you this example for the Western Digital Red. Here I have the configure panel where I choose a target. In the target list, there is a list of different targets that I have already configured. Then there is extraction steps where you can chain different extractor operator. I am using the JSON pass operator by using the price data, then the value field. Then I add a checker. If the number is less 200, then I will receive different kind of notification. I can add different notification type, and all this notification will be automatically triggered. The target is defining which how the target is collected. It is the name VD red task 2 terabytes. If I go to the configure, you see that the target is configured by using the HTTP protocol, by using specifying the type of method. Here the get method with the URL, here the version, the full header, and done. And if you are wondering when it is scheduled, it is triggered, the answer is inside the trigger, so you can create some triggers. And here the VD red task has been executed automatically today at 9 AM, will be executed tomorrow at also 9 AM, because when you go to the configuration panel, here you see that the target trox here is selected. It is enabled with a period here with the time frame that you want, every hour, every day, every week, or every month, and at the time of the day here for the case of the day. And there is also a user guide here if you want to get more information. So I hope you have enjoyed this video by understanding how to create your own server of email, understanding the DNS configuration, the server-side configuration also, and also that you have benefit to know how myspector.com is behaving. Write me down in the comments if you have some questions or some comments about the content of this very big presentation. I hope to see you later on this channel. I need you because look at this ridiculous little number of subscribers. I needed to make noise for my channel to help me to make it famous. And write me down which topic interests you the most, so I will make you video more extensive about this subject. See you later. Bye.